What's up guys, today's deck profile is going to be on Izayoi Aki, also known as Akiza in the dub. Aki is my favorite character in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's because of her ace monster, Black Rose Dragon, which is the coolest and best Yu-Gi-Oh! Card ever made, so let's check out her deck. Aki uses more of a burn damage deck. She has a lot of monsters that do effect damage direct to your opponent, as well as using the rest of her smaller monsters to tune into Black Rose. So she has a Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis, which does 800 damage upon attacking, who she brings out with Phoenixian Seed. She's seen using Gigaplant in a flashback when she was like going crazy upon the city, and that's one of the main beaters she has. A Rose Tentacles, which is like a smaller Gigaplant, but if you could combine it with Ivy Shackles, you could attack more than once. She uses 3 Evil Thorns for more burn damage, 2 Hedge Guards for protection, and it's a really good set monster in anime duel just because the 2100 defense is huge. A Rose Fairy, which is often seen with Witch of the Black Rose, which we'll get to later. A Wall of Ivy, which she uses often as well. A Revival Rose, which she used once. A Lord Poison, which she used once. A Glow Bulb, which she used in her first Turbo Duel, which is like arguably the best tuner alive. A Copy Plant, which she also often used and a lot with Dark Verger. And then for the non-plant tuners and miscellaneous, we have Witch of the Black Rose, like I mentioned. This card lets you draw a card, and if it's a monster, you get to keep it. If not, you have to send this and that card to the graveyard. So Rose Fairy can be special summoned when it's added to your hand by a card effect. So she summons this, adds Rose Fairy, like, you know, just by chance, and then summons it and goes into Black Rose. And then a Twilight Rose Knight, which is one of our other awesome tuners. A Blue Rose Dragon, which is kind of like Lord Poison, but also works on Black Rose as well. And a Violet Witch for searching. For her spell cards, she has a Black Guardian, which is one of the best field cards even today, I believe. I mean, it can be used in a lot of either burn damage decks or OTKs and stuff like that. I do not like the fact that it's used in FTKs because I feel like it gives it a bad name, but it is just a cool design card in general. She has a Mark of the Rose, which steals one of your opponent's monsters, and an Avengeful Servant, which says if you give a monster back to your opponent or the control of a monster in general switches, that player now takes damage equal to the attack. So if you Mark of the Rose their card, attack directly, equip it with Vengeful Servant, and end your turn, it'll go back and you'll be able to do the attack back. Thorn of Malice, which she equips either to Black Rose or her plants to give it 600/600, and it starts being able to do piercing damage and weakening the monster. A Seed of Deception to special summon some of her low-level monsters so she can synchro. A Fragrant Storm, which destroys plant monsters to draw. You can also use this on your opponent's plants, so if you put a Rose token with Black Guardian or Ivy Shackles, you can do that too. A Magic Planter to draw off all of her continuous traps, and a Wonder Clover, which lets one of her monsters attack twice. Aki uses a lot of continuous traps. She has an Ivy Shackles, which like I said, lets her Rose Tentacles attack all monsters your opponent controls or lets you destroy them with Fragrant Storm. A Wicked Rebirth, which uses to revive Black Rose. A Doppelganger, which does effect damage back. An Overdoom line, which gives summoned monsters from the graveyard 1000 attack. Blossom Bombardment, which does effect damage. Half Counter, which is kind of like a small boost to attack depending on what monster is attacking your monster. It steals half. Star Siphon, which summons a token with a synchro monster's level the second a synchro is summoned, and it switches level with them. So you're like, let's say if you summon Black Rose Dragon, you'll get a level 1 Black Rose and a level 7 Star Siphon. But this actually works really good with Splendid Rose. If you summon Splendid Rose and you can switch their levels, you can then use Glow Bulb from the graveyard and also synchro into Black Rose. And then an Urgent Tuning for battle phase synchroing, and a Nature's Reflection, which reflects any effect damage, which she used to beat Misty in one of her final duels. And then alternatively, if you're really serious about anime duels like I am and you want to build your favorite character some Orca cards, I have an Angel Baton which I had made, which is kind of like a Graceful Charity but 2-in-1. A Rose Flame, which he uses really often. A Dimension Reversion. A Synchro Spirits. Illusion Destruction. Rose Blizzard. Synchro Back. And a Doom Petal Countdown. These are all cards she's seen using, but they never really made real in any of the packs, or it hasn't been released just yet. They might do like, I don't know, like a Dragons of Legend thing in the future for 5Ds, and it would be really cool if we could get some of these cards. And yeah, these Orcas were a little bit more on the pricey side. It cost me about $50 for all these. I don't know if that's a little too much or if that's regular for Orca cards, but I really wanted them when I was getting first into anime duels and wanted to finish this deck. They really do help her deck because these cards go great with her deck. And It would be really awesome if they could just reprint these cards so I can have the actual ones, because the one thing I do have to say is that these Orca cards are a little bit thicker. You can see that they're almost just two cards put together. I don't know if that's really clear, but they are a little bit heavier. It doesn't feel so bad in a sleeve, but when you draw it, you can definitely tell that that's going to be the Orca card. Like during your draw, you won't be able to tell like face down or on top of your deck or anything. But yeah, it would be really cool if you just had like a legal version of the deck, so if you wanted to take it to like a casual tournament or anything like that, you could. If you can't have Orca cards made, another option you and your friends can do is just use the manga cards she had. They weren't seen used alongside the cards she already has, but if you guys are just trying to have some fun, you can throw in maybe 3 of these. So the options are Rose Witch, Rose Archer, Fallen Angel of Roses, Queen Angel of Roses, Rose Paladin, Rose Lover, and the Wall of Thorns. So these are all actually really amazing cards that if they did just have printed her real cards, it would have been cool, but for some reason they made these instead. And they really boost your deck if you were to add them in, because they add, you know, like special summoning, and Paladin itself is an 1800 beat stick which can search out any plant, which is already amazing. Wall of Thorns is an amazing battle trap. It's like a mirror force for her deck. So these would be really great. So you can throw maybe 3 of these or just all of them if you guys want. These are just options you can have that Aki has used either within the anime or the manga. So there you guys have it. That was Aki's deck profile with possible manga substitutes, additions, or orcas. If you want to just use a 37 card deck to stay 100% true to the deck, you can, as long as your friends are okay with it, which is actually something I want to discuss with you guys. If a duelist has been shown with only 30 cards, should they be able to be replicated? What's an acceptable limit? 30, 35? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure to do so all my future videos come straight to you. If you don't, chilling flames will engulf the entire world. A pitch black bar will set boom. Synchro summon, appear now, Black Rose Dragon!